Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I am so excited for today's video. I was actually supposed to film this video like 2 weeks ago, but things just kept getting in the way. So I finally had the time to sit down and film this full face of makeup, this step-by-step tutorial using drugstore products for beginners, those who are new to the world of makeup. So I hope those of you who requested this video find this video a help to you. I try my best to really take my time and go through all the helpful tips and tricks that I have learned over the years and kind of compile them into this look. As you can see, this is a more natural, everyday sort of look that I would wear. I don't have any falsies on, I didn't wing my eyeliner, and I'm not wearing a ton of highlighting and contour. I tried to keep this look very basic, but still a full face. So yeah, this video is probably going to be a little lengthy, so I'm gonna go ahead and stop the intro here, and we're gonna go ahead and jump right in. Okay, so getting started, first of all, welcome to my bare face if you've never seen my bare face in any of my other videos before. And yes, my hair is wet. I obviously just got done with a shower, so hence the bare face and wet hair. So you always want to make sure that when you are applying makeup, you're doing it to a clean face. So if your face has any sort of dirt or oils on it, make sure you go ahead and wash your face first, and then of course apply some moisturizer, because that's going to help your skin not absorb any of the makeup product that you are putting on your face. And then as soon as you're done moisturizing, you want to go in with some primer. There are so many different primers out there for different skin types, but if you are new to the world of makeup, there's a really good universal and cheap primer that I found works really good. This one is from e.l.f. and this is their mineral infused face primer. So here is what it looks like. I believe it's only $3 from the drugstore. So I usually just apply one little pump to the edge of my middle finger, and then I go ahead and spread that around, and then I just kind of press it into the places on my face that have the most pores, and then from there I kind of just spread it out towards the rest of my face. And now moving on to foundation. A really good one that I recently found is from Milani. This is their Conceal and Perfect 2-in-1 foundation concealer. The shade I'm in is 06 and it's sand beige. So here's what it looks like. This is a super affordable foundation. It's one of my favorite foundations from the drugstore, and again, it has some really good coverage, but it's not too crazy full thick coverage. So this is what I'm going to use. Right before I apply my foundation, I'm actually going to conceal a few of my blemishes. I just noticed them kind of peeking out around here, so I'm just going to use the Master Camo palette from Maybelline, and this is for shade medium. They also have one for shade light and shade dark depending on your skin tone. So here's the little concealer wand. It's about $1 from Walmart. It's the e.l.f. brand. So I'm just going to go into the middle pan right here and just lightly apply that to any areas that I have blemishes. Today I have quite a few. I'm going to get a flat top kabuki brush. This one is just called Flat Kabuki, and I don't know what the brand is, but this is what the brush looks like. You can also go to the drugstore and pick up a smaller version from e.l.f. This is $3. This is the e.l.f. small stipple brush. I just found that the denser the brush is, the better it will buff out your product. So I'm going to go with this really dense guy right here, and I'm just going to go ahead and use stippling motions, and that really blends in the concealer to your skin. Before I go in with the foundation, I'm going to do a little spritz on the face. This step is totally optional, totally not necessary, but if you are like me, you have normal to drier skin, you probably want something to really lock in the moisture to your face, and it does make your makeup last a little bit longer throughout the day. This is the e.l.f. Makeup Mist and Set Spray, and again, this is only like $3 from the drugstore, so I'm just going to go ahead and spritz that over my face before I go in with my foundation. While that is setting, I'm going to take 2 pumps of my Milani foundation, and I'm just going to apply that to the back of my hand, like so. My air just came on. There's a vent like right by my feet, so if you hear some humming, that's what that is. Sorry about that. So I'm gonna go ahead and use my middle finger and just kind of dot that all over the face. This is my favorite way to apply liquid foundation. Now I'm going to go to blend that out, and I'm going to use this beauty sponge from Flower Beauty. So all I'm going to do is take this sponge and I'm going to use light bouncy motions on the skin and kind of go in circular motions, and that's really going to blend out this foundation really beautifully, and that way you can get the most flawless coverage. And now I'm going to take a little bit more of that foundation, just about half a pump or even just a quarter of a pump, because this foundation is very spreadable. A little bit really goes a long way, and I'm just gonna dot that in the middle of my neck, the side of my neck, and then the other side of my neck. Always remember, especially when you're wearing liquid foundation, that most foundations aren't going to match your skin like 100% perfectly, so you always want to make sure you're blending the foundation you applied on your face into your skin. That way when you are lifting your chin up or you're, you know, turning to the side, people can't see like this line of demarcation where like, oh, she's obviously wearing a darker foundation than her natural shade, or vice versa. So always remember just to kind of blend that down the neck, and instead of using bumping stippling motions, I'm just kind of dragging the product down. Now we're coming to like my favorite part of my makeup routine, and that is concealing the under eye area. As you can probably tell, I don't have crazy under eye darkness or circles. I would say I have just like average, medium, but I still like to always conceal because I feel like that really makes my eyes look really awake and brightened, and it just pulls the rest of my makeup together. The concealer I'm using today is another drugstore find, of course. Pretty much all the products I'm using today are from the drugstore. This is from Maybelline. This is their Age Rewind concealer, and this is in the shade Light. So here's what it looks like. I really love this application tip. It makes applying my concealer so much faster than applying a concealer that you have to take out the little wand and apply it and then blend it out. This is kind of like all in one. It does the job. The only thing you have to do is just really buff it into the skin. So I'm gonna click this up a little bit, and I always start right under my eye, kind of like that, and I'm going to the other side. Then I like to drag it down a little bit like that, and then fully drag it all the way out. And then I really like to get right underneath the eye. So it looks a little bit scary, but this is what it looks like. And I'm gonna blend that out using this Real Techniques beauty sponge. And I love this for my under eye area because it has like the perfect cone shaped tip, and it really fits in this little socket right there. So I'm just going to, again, use light bouncy motions, so kind of just dabbing and then going back and forth. And then it will also help if you kind of look up so you don't accidentally poke yourself in the eye, which I have done a few times when I'm in a rush. And then after I go back and forth, I just kind of move that in a downward motion or downward pattern. And then again, I love this the shape of this sponge for like right on the corner of my eye. And then I'm just gonna buff that downward. And that side is nice and blended. Now that that's nice and buffed out, I'm going to go ahead and set my entire face with some setting powder. This is kind of an essential step for those of us who are kind of normal to oily skin. We want to make sure that our foundation stays in place all day, and it really helps if you go in with setting powder. If you have drier skin, you might be able to get away with not setting your foundation, but I always recommend it to everyone, no matter what your skin type. Today I'm using the HD finishing powder in shade Translucent from NYX Cosmetics. So here's what the little compact looks like, and as you can see, it is very white, but once you apply it, it is very translucent. And I'm using this giant kabuki brush from e.l.f. This is the best thing I've found for blending in makeup in general, but also for applying setting powder. So keep in mind you don't need very much setting powder, just one little swipe, and you want to really blend that in. And I like to especially focus on my T-zone because that's really where oils start kind of peeking through at the end of the day for me. So I really like to put on just a tad extra in my T-zone, really press that into the skin. Now that that's set, I'm going to set my under eye area, which is the concealer that I just applied, and then I'm going to set my lid and brow area with some non-translucent setting powder. My favorite is any sort of pressed powder that is like the shade of banana powder. So this is a great one from Wet n Wild. This is off of their Mega Glow Contouring palette. So here's what it looks like. It's super huge. As you can see, this side is designed for bronzing, and then this side is designed for highlighting. But again, I like to use it as a setting powder. I'm going to take this e.l.f. blush brush. This was just a couple dollars from the drugstore. And I'm just going to dip into the pan a little bit. And then I'm gonna kind of go back and forth, using really soft sweeping motions and just setting that under eye area. Then I'm going to kind of take the tip of the brush, and then now I'm going to go right underneath the eye socket and using more pressing motions. This actually really helps with your eyeliner and your mascara that you're applying later. It really helps that product not to kind of run because sometimes oils around your eyes will start to make that product run, but really gently setting powder right underneath your lower lash line is going to help your mascara and your eyeliner stay in place all day and not run. With the same powder and the same brush, I'm going to now set the eyelid area. And I always do this even if I'm not going to be wearing eyeshadow that day, because again, it really just makes my eyeliner stay in place all day and not go anywhere. It kind of sucks up all the oils. And I like to also go all the way up to my brows, because I found that it just keeps my brow products in place all day. This is definitely one of my biggest tips to anyone. Really set your makeup. It makes a world of a difference. Now that the face is set, I'm going to take a break from the face. We'll get right back to that, but I'm going to go ahead and work on my eye makeup. I'm going to go to the brows, and I'm going to use this NYX Micro Brow pencil, and the shade is Espresso. So here is what it looks like. This is probably my favorite brow product of all time, and it's drugstore, so you really can't go wrong there. Line up this side of your nose, kind of like right over your nostril, and then wherever that winds up, that's going to be the beginning of your brow right there. And I like to follow my natural brow hairline, so I'm going to use really short and very soft strokes to make these brows look as natural as possible but still defined. And I'm just outlining the entire bottom of the brow. Now to define the top of my brow, I'm going to not start right above where I first outlined. I'm going to kind of start where my brow naturally starts to get thick, so right about here. And then I'm just going to use those short and soft motions. Just kind of make the best line that I can possibly make. Don't worry if you guys are doing this and it looks a little wonky. It took me several tries before I really mastered defining my brows. And then once I get to the curve of my brow, I'm going to go ahead and follow that and then bring that to meet the bottom. So it should look a little bit like so. Going back to the beginning of my brow, I'm going to start filling this in with very natural light strokes, and I'm going to be doing those kind of vertically. Okay, I'm actually going to use a different shade pencil to fill. Dropped my chapstick. Okay, as I was saying, I'm going to use a darker shade to fill in the rest of my brows. That's kind of a little hack that I've been doing for a while now, just using two different shades. I use a slightly lighter shade than my natural brow hair color to fill in the bottom, top, and very beginning, and then the rest of the brows, so towards the middle and then the very end, I use a little bit of a darker shade. This is also from NYX. This is their precision brow pencil, so it's a little bit different than the first one that I used. The only difference is that when you roll out the tip, it's a lot flatter as opposed to a round point. This is kind of a blunt and flat edge. So I found that this works really well for filling in the rest of my brows. So I'm kind of starting exactly where I left off when filling in the beginning of my brow. And then as I gradually go towards the end, I'm going to use a heavier hand, and I'm going to fill it in a lot more, with a lot more density. And for me, this is like the best technique that I found for having defined but still somewhat natural looking brows. And voila, there is one brow filled in. So the next step is to blend out that brow product to make it look even more natural and even more feathered. And I'm just using this little spoolie brush from e.l.f. It was only like $1 from the drugstore. So all I do is I start off with more strokes towards the beginning, less in the middle, and then even fewer on the very end. And again, it kind of creates that gradient effect that I'm wanting to achieve. So I just did some upward strokes, and that's really all that I do blending wise. And then I'm just going to go ahead and set the brow product with some clear brow gel. This is again from NYX. This is their Control Freak eyebrow gel, and it's just a clear eyebrow gel, so it kind of reminds me of clear mascara. As you can see, the little wand right here. And you don't really need much of this product, just enough to kind of coat your brow hairs and keep it in place so it doesn't budge throughout the day. And it also keeps the brow product itself adhering to your face. That way, if you accidentally go to scratch your eyebrow, you're not gonna rub an entire chunk of your eyebrow off. So we're moving on to eyeshadow, and I'm just gonna use the Jaclyn Hill palette. This was from her collaboration with Morphe. I recently did a video kind of reviewing this palette. If you guys are interested, I will have that video linked below. And it comes with an assortment of colors. So obviously, because this video is geared to a more beginner friendly look, I'm going to go with really natural looking colors, and I'm going to try to keep this as simple as possible. So the first thing that I would say is to work from the top and then kind of go lower. So I'm going to go right underneath the brow bone, and I'm going to use this shade right here, and I'm applying that with a curved eyeshadow brush from e.l.f. And the curve really fits nicely right under the arch of my brow, like so. So again, I only needed a couple of swipes, and I'm just gonna kind of blend that out. Going in to a transition shade. A transition shade is just a shade that you apply right here in the crease, and you kind of buff it up really high. And this really just makes any eyeshadow you apply blend together from the bottom of your eyelid all the way to the top of your brow bone a lot better. Blend Beauty, this is the L34 This is what it looks like. I got this in my Ipsy subscription bag a while back. The tip of it is designed for transition colors, crease colors. It kind of fans out and it's beautiful. It's very soft and it's dense, but it's still very flexible, which is key for applying, again, right here in the crease. I'm gonna go with this middle shade right here. Just kind of go with a shade that's probably 1 or 2 shades darker than your the color of your skin right on your eyelid. And then I'm just going to go back and forth, kind of like windshield wiper motions. After going back and forth a few times, I'm going to start to use circular motions to kind of buff that out. And this is really key to applying any eyeshadow look. You gotta blend, blend, blend. And the key to blending is small circular motions. I'm gonna go in with a very similar brush to the one that I just used. This one is just a little bit shorter and a little bit more dense. So I found that this is a perfect crease brush. This is from Elizabeth Mott and it just says it's the blending brush. So here's what it looks like. I'm gonna go in with this shade. So again, windshield wiper motions. Back and forth, back and forth. And I'm not gonna blend this quite as much as I blended my transition color. Just gonna kind of blend it in a little bit. And that's really all you need for your crease color. Now moving on to the lid color, I'm going to take this C eyeshadow brush from e.l.f. and this is what it looks like. So I'm gonna go back to the highlighting shade and kind of pop a little bit of that. Tap off the excess. I'm just going to apply a little bit of that over top. And kind of working from where my crease color was to the middle of the lid. And just a tip, you can actually kind of press, if you're looking down, you can kind of press the top of your eyeball. And I know it sounds kind of weird, but that will really help you establish where the end of the crease is and the beginning of the lid is. And that way when you go to open your eye, your crease is in the right spot. It's not too low, it's not too high. And I'm going to take a little bit more of that crease color just on the tip of the brush. Going from my outer crease, I'm just going to kind of blend that downward and over. And this just gives a little bit of drama, but still keeps it natural. Now I'm just going to highlight the inner corner and we're going to be done with the very natural looking eyeshadow for today. So I'm going back into the highlighting shade. I'm going to go right here in the inner tear duct area. Just kind of buff that in. Like so. And we are done with eyeshadow. The only eyeliner that I have right now is a high-end eyeliner, but it is amazing. It's my favorite ever. It's from the brand Stila. This is their Stay All Day Waterproof Liquid Eyeliner, and this is shade Black. So here's what it looks like. And then the very tip of it is a little bit thinner. So I like to go ahead and use a compact and kind of hold it really close to my eye. So I always like to lay the pen down kind of sideways, and then right where my lash line begins, I like to use really short, light strokes. And again, laying my brush sideways and flat against my eyelid, right over my lash line. And this is really getting the pen to do all the work for you. And then once I get towards the end, as you can see, I kind of reverse that, and then I start from the outside and I bring the outside to meet towards the middle. And then I go back, and if there's any spaces in between my line and my lash line, go in there and fill that in. And voila. that is it. That is literally so simple, so easy. And again, all you have to do is just keep practicing at it and you'll be able to pop on your eyeliner just that fast. Moving on to mascara, obviously today I'm not going to be wearing any falsies because I'm not going for a super glam look. I'm going for a very beginner friendly look, so I'm just going to stick with mascara today. And this is again Drugstore. This is from Loreal. This is their Voluminous Lash Paradise Mascara. This was in my favorites video that I just showed last month. And I like to start from the top of my lashes and kind of coat them from the top in a downward motion. And I know that might sound a little bit weird, but it definitely makes a difference for me because my lashes are naturally very thin and very short. So this really helps build up the volume. And then I'm gonna now go to the bottom of my lashes, and right at the base, I'm gonna wiggle that back and forth. And that's one coat. And while that's drying, I'm going to go ahead and do my lower lash line. I like to start at the base and then kind of wiggle the brush back and forth. And then I'm going to go ahead and turn the brush sideways. And all the product that is on the edge of the brush really thickens up the lash line. And then going back to the normal angle, I'm going to get all the little clumps out of there. Like so. Then while that's drying, I'm going to go in and do a second coat of mascara. And I'm using the same technique I did on the first coat. Okay, now that we're completely done with the eyes, we are in the home stretch, and I'm going to just apply a little bit of bronzer, blush, highlighter, and then something on the lips just to kind of top off the look. So for bronzer, I'm going to go ahead and chisel out some cheekbones. As you can tell, I naturally don't really have defined cheekbones, so I kind of have to go in there and create the illusion. Today I'm going to go ahead and use bronzer from my Wet n Wild palette because this is, of course, from the drugstore. So again, here is what it looks like. And I'm using this Lisa Frank contour brush, but you can use any contour brush. e.l.f. has a few really great ones that are super affordable. So I'm going to go ahead and just take a little bit of product, about 4 swipes, tap off the excess, and then I'm going to suck in my cheekbones and then follow the hollow of my cheekbone. And you want to remember not to do it super low. For example, you don't want to do it down here. You want to do it like right in the middle of your cheekbone. I'm just doing like a little back and forth motion. And then I'm going to kind of blend that up a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to add a little bit of bronzer on the forehead. I'm going to use this amazing round top kind of fluffy kabuki brush from Wet n Wild. Wet n Wild has really stepped up their game lately, obviously, and their brush line is really amazing, and I've been using this brush for my bronzer on my forehead like non-stop. I love how like seamless it applies everything. So I'm going to go back and take a little bit of product and really tap off the excess when you're going in with a forehead bronzer, and kind of start right at the hairline and blend in towards the hair. I'm gonna go on the other side, same technique, obviously. Bringing that all the way from the center of my forehead to meet the contour on my cheek, or the bronzer on my cheek rather. And then with the excess, I kind of just go ahead and apply that underneath my jaw area. So moving on to blush, unfortunately, I got rid of all my drugstore blushes, but a really amazing blush is from the brand Milani. I will have that linked down below as an alternate option for blush today, but I'm going to go ahead and use my blush from the brand Too Faced, and this is their Loved Flush Blush, and it's the shade How Deep Is Your Love, and I'm going to apply that with a contour brush from, of course, e.l.f. So I'm going to go ahead and take some product there. And then how I apply blush, I can't speak today, is I like to slightly smile. And right here at the apples of my cheeks, that's where I like to start. And then I'm going to take that up right over my contour. And again, if you're just starting out, then definitely use a light hand and not a ton of product, because you could always go back in and build up your blush as opposed to putting too much product on and then kind of blending and trying to get it out. It's kind of a hassle that way. So always start off with a little bit if you're not sure, and then you can always go in later and build that up. Moving on to my second favorite part of my makeup routine, we're going to do a little bit of highlighter, and I'm going to be using the one from Maybelline. This is one of their newer highlighters. This is their Master Chrome, and I believe it's shade Molten Gold. Here is what the compact looks like, and I believe it was about $8 from the drugstore. This highlighter, guys, is so bomb. So I'm going to be using this fan brush from Royal and Lang Nickel, and this is BMD-300. This is another brush that I got from my Ipsy, so I'm not really sure of the cost, but I know you can get very similar brushes like this from the drugstore. So to apply, I'm going to go to the very tops of my cheekbones, so where light would naturally reflect off of your cheekbones. All you want to do is kind of place your brush over that area, and then with a light hand kind of go back and forth. Until you get the desired level of glow that you want to achieve. And then I like to do whatever is left on the brush, just kind of put a little bit of that on the nose. And then I like to take my ring finger and just kind of apply a little bit to the Cupid's bow area of my lips. And that is all of my face makeup except for the lips. Before I apply any sort of lip product, I like to first set the face. I'm just going to go back to the e.l.f. Makeup Mist and Setting Spray for the face, and I'm just going to spritz that all over. And this really is key to making your makeup last all day. And to speed up the drying process, I just use my blow dryer on Cool Shot on low. Now to top off this look, I'm going to go ahead and apply some liquid lipstick. For this look, I really wanted to do something a little bit nude, like pinky nude mauve. So I really figured that this particular shade of liquid lipstick would fit really well. This is from Tarte. This is called Birthday Suit. I just got this for my birthday from Sephora. So here's a little sample size that I got. So I just start in the center like this and kind of blend it out a little bit. Go to the outer corners. Then I go to the very bottom of the lower lip. And then I like to make a line from the outer corner to the bottom. And then getting a tiny bit more product, I'm going to go to the top, right underneath the Cupid's bow. And then same thing that I did on the bottom, go from the Cupid's bow to the outer corner. And then kind of fill the rest in. That, guys, completes this look, this beginner-friendly step-by-step tutorial, full face of makeup. I hope that you guys enjoyed this video and that you found it a help to you. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel before you leave to see more helpful videos like this. I hope you guys have an awesome rest of the day or night, whatever time it is for you. I'll see you right back here for my next video. Bye.